What is good, everybody? It's your boy Big Zach 617. Woke to the World podcast and TV. We are here at episode 14 today with the second half of the Resurrectors. My man DR.A.M.B. How are you doing today, my G?
I'm chilling, man. What's going on with you?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
One of the questions I kind of wanted to dive straight into, with music. Is that a lot of people have listening parties and a lot of people have album release parties, and sometimes you don't really get the full effect of listening to the other artists. For me personally, I would rather go to a show and see an album release party where you perform the songs rather than sit with you and listen to you. And be there. And I just kind of wanted your perspective on I understand some listening parties can be valuable to an artist.
Yeah.
But it's more of the experience of how that listening party was kind of curated. And just want to.
So you want my thoughts on the listening party?
Yeah.
Between the listening party and album party?
Yeah.
So I more take towards the album release party where you perform the joints. Listening parties usually for labels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you usually do that to present your album to the label so they can say yes or nay to this release. And a lot of times artists do that too to get the opinions. But I feel if you're gonna get the opinions, you're doing that so you can gear it towards what they're gonna like. Or you know what I mean? Because that's what a listening party is. You know what I mean? You're really listening, and then you're getting the opinions of the people that matter, which is neither the fans or the labels. And you're the decisions you make are based on those opinions. Where actually the album party is all right, this is the joint, this is the album that's coming out. You know what I mean? And this is what we're going with, and this is the songs you're gonna hear. You know what I'm saying? Sure. I take more to the album release party. I've done plenty of album release parties since 2011, and I'm more into that because I'm always confident in what is being released when I put it on the record. You know what I'm saying? So listening parties, I think those are cool too, depending on if you're gonna release the album right within that week, and then you do the album release party. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't necessarily have to perform at the listening party. I like to perform, so I'll do it at the listening party,
right.
The album release. You know what I'm saying? I'll do it in. You know what I mean? So that's right. What it is. You know what I mean?
Because I've gone to a couple things that I thought were album release parties, and then they ended up being listening parties, and then I was just oh well.
They was playing it.
What? They were just playing the music, and it was.
Yeah. I'm not knocking it, but
yeah. I was expecting a show, and it's just you can't really do too much with the footage if it's the song itself, because there's such a fine line when you're taking video of live performance versus if the song is being played.
Yeah, the stage show is more important to me than the actual listening party. Because that's what's gonna tell you that they you know what I'm saying? Because your stage show has to present itself with the album that you're releasing,
right?
I mean, so if you're gonna if you're getting this dope cover and you're getting this the music, and you hear the music on the radio, that's for that, on the radio, podcast, whatever, you hear the music, whatever. But then when you go on that show, that's when you're all right, can this guy perform and translate these records onto stage? And that's harder to do, because now you're talking about taking songs, putting them to memory, and then going on the stage and making sure that they hit, you know what I'm saying, and that you do well with them, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, I'm more the live performance display guy. I don't really like playing the music at a show. I'm not gonna charge people at the store just so you could listen to the album when you could have bought it and listened to it. You could have went on iTunes if it's on there, listen to it, or you could have went anywhere. I'd rather you come to the show and see me perform these songs live.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my thing.
I love that. Another question I had was what is some of the biggest transitions from your rap career that you had to make from like being able to adapt, because like the way like the new school is and everything like that, and like how we've gone from like time to time. I'm just interested to see like what your perspective, if you had any changes, like what they were that you did to like adapt to everything.
Well, to adapt to what it is now, you still got to be who you are. So you also got to understand that adapting doesn't necessarily mean cater. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So a lot of older artists will try to cater to the younger crowd. Me, I don't do that. I'm older. You know what I'm saying? So right. I adapt to the younger crowd if they listening, but they kind of have to catch up to what I'm doing because I am older. You know, at this point, I'm teaching through the culture of hip hop,
right?
You know, as opposed to like when I was in my 20s, you know, I had to find and build and create,
right?
You know, and then
that's
once
when you were the student,
yeah. So a lot of young cats, not all of them, but like a lot of newer rappers, a lot of young cats, they're trying to set a trend by sticking to whatever trend is already there, like you know, like people already here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you got to create what's you. It's okay to love some rappers that you influenced by.
Right.
But at a certain point, you got to be like, all right, this is who I am. This is where I'm going to be. This is where I want to be with this music. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I'm all in about recreating myself, but I'm not into catering to who they want me to be. I'm gonna cater to who I want to be. So
right.
I'm gonna recreate myself on every record if I can, and just give them that raw feeling of music. You know what I mean? So that's what it's about. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
How long have you been making music for?
Wow. I've been rapping since 1994.
Okay.
I've been making my own music. I've been dropping albums, mixtapes, 2003.
Okay.
That's 23 years. So, yeah, I've been 23 years releasing music. Just rapping, freestyling, ciphers, all that. That's 32 years. You know what I mean? So I've been doing that for a minute. I live this. You know what I mean?
Do you have like do you play like any kind of like musical instruments or anything?
The only thing I really play is the D.R.A.M.B drum.
Okay.
I do that naturally. That's why if you listen to a lot of the music, like especially the K.I.N.G Part 1, right? It was African centered around culture, but it's also centered around, you know, like if you watch the movie Black Panther, I kind of picked that theme to create that album back in 2022. So with the K.I.N.G Part 2, Genius did all the beats. So the message was still the same, but the musical vibe is different.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm good at the D.R.A.M.B drum. If you hear songs like Set the Record Straight, if you heard songs like Challenge, you know, and those are, you hear a lot of the D.R.A.M.B in there because I know how to use those percussions.
For sure.
Yeah.
One of the songs I really like is the one that you have about the culture of hip hop, you know.
Oh, the purpose of hip hop. That's on the K.I.N.G Part 1. Yeah.
The purpose of hip hop. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Because it's just like to me it's a history lesson when you listen to it.
Yeah, that's the purpose of it. So you get the history because you got to know where it started and how it formed on a level. And there's a lot of things I don't know, but there's a lot of things I do know, and what I do know, I put it on the record.
Right.
And you know, it's up for people to do their research and create their own. On the K.I.N.G Part 2, I actually get a little bit deeper into it with 2 verses about the history of hip hop, because there's also new information, especially the stages of hip hop, which nobody talk about.
Right.
So in the purpose of hip hop, I talk about just the story that pretty much everybody knows, you know, from Kool Herc to Bambaataa to the you know, the gang wars and the peace treaties and stuff like that, and then to the record label thing. Then in this one I get into the 3 stages of who and what influenced the creation of different stages of hip hop, because there's 3 stages a lot of people don't know.
Right.
Right? So that's where that's the song's called We Want That Hip Hop. You know what I'm saying? And there's a skit on there with Lord Jamar and I forgot the brother's name. He was on the podcast with Math Hoffa, and then he had his own, I forgot his name, but they was talking about like black culture and influencing hip hop. You know what I mean? And then it's spreading around at a certain point. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, because, you know, it spreads around. You know what I mean? And once it's spread around, it's like now everybody's into hip hop, whether, you know, you black, white, Puerto Rican, whatever. So that source of hip hop is where we talk about, then we know these different stages. So that's where, and it was also to stop the war of words between Puerto Ricans and blacks. There was from 2023, there was just like beef about who created hip hop. It was spreading around the internet, and then it was like, this argument is pretty much stupid. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion,
right?
Because it's like, you know, everybody who was there that you talk to knows the source of hip hop. Knows that yes, Black Americans sourced it. It's the source, but it spread around, especially around the time when Herc came around. Everybody's coming to the parties. You know what I'm saying? So then now there's different contributions, and we didn't talk about, like, so my generation, of course, like, and you know, we didn't deal with racial division. We didn't like somebody because it was a-hole. We didn't care if they was, you know, what color they was. We was in class with everybody. Right. You know what I mean? And then we was in class with everybody. We didn't look at the kid and be like, yo, he got this and he looked like this. No. We dealt with, this dude's a bully, man. I don't like this dude. You know what I'm saying? He likes to steal people's lunch money, or she just loud, or, you know what I mean? And that could have been any race or something. It wasn't just a certain group of people. So at a certain point, there's this resurgence of racial tension, and it's spreading into hip hop, when hip hop's 4 principles: peace, love, unity, and having fun. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So if it breaks those, it's not hip hop.
Right.
Like anything that you do, if it's not having those 4 principles: peace, love, unity, having fun, and then the knowledge, then that's what you have to determine hip hop by, not by the industry's opinion of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
You know what I mean? So if it doesn't have those 4, I don't care if it's an all white party, right? Like just saying all white people or something like that. And if they have those 4 principles, it's hip hop.
Right.
You know what I mean? If they have them, if it's all blacks in the party, it's hip hop. If it's all Puerto Ricans at the party and they have those 4 principles and they're doing this music, it's hip hop. If we all together and all races together and we having this thing that we call hip hop, if it has those 4 principles, it's hip hop. Once they don't have it, once the murder starts happening, the division starts happening, the bigotry starts happening, once that's not hip hop.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
100%.
Yeah. You know.
Next question I had was the adaptability and can you take me through like a little bit of like your journey of like coming up in like the 2000s part of like your like music career?
So I started off in a studio called Block Studio, which was in Dorchester at the time. And I did my first record called Raw Assassins. It was, you know what I mean, at the time I didn't even name it that. I think it was like Raw 2000 or something like that. It was. I was listening to it the other day too. It was on tape. You know what I mean? For those who don't know what tapes are, you know, it's this thing with 2 holes and you put it in a tape player and it plays music. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of people don't know what tapes is, so I kind of got to explain it, right? So I had it on tape, and matter of fact, you got one right there on that wall. It looked like a tape player, right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah. So when you I had the tape and I was playing it and I was listening to it and I was like, that my journey, I started with recording and making my own beats in Block Studio. And I was just recording music until about 2003. I said, I'm gonna put a mixtape out. It was originally supposed to be a team mixtape. I had a team called TA at the time, Temple Assassins. People was getting locked up and stuff like that. I wasn't, so I was like, I created the mixtape, the anonymous mixtape, you know, and I dropped it in August 15, 2003. I kept doing them. Anonymous mixtape series. It lasted all the way till 9. I dropped my last anonymous mixtape on December 9th, 2015. Okay. Right? That's the same year I created a website, AfricanBandborn.com. I went from being named Anonymous Machete Blade, which was, you know, that's what A.M.B stood for, into African Man Born because I was maturing the message, and I was maturing it for the unification of black folks. So when you say African Man Born, it's not really just a title, it's more of a movement to unify black folks because we're divided. At the end of the day, black people are divided, and we don't like each other for some reason. Now this happens in every race of people, but I'm black, so I have to be like, listen, we to speak for the people to come together first before we can, and the thing is, it's not about, I speak about unity, period, but a lot of songs is geared to us getting it together because so because they have to see an example through their own people, just like everybody has to see that, so I went to African Man Born. I did all these mixtapes. I dropped my first album, official album, Original Beats, 2009.
Okay.
January 9th, 2009, the introduction. I produced most of the beats. That same year, I dropped True Colors, my second album. That's where you get the logo. You know what I mean? So the logo started with True Colors. You know what I mean? And you see, I have like shirts made with the logo in the front of the continent of Africa, and that's what Pharaoh on Top is. Pharaoh on Top was a song that I did in 2004 over the Riddler beat, not the one he did for the video, but the remix that he did. I did a song called Pharaoh on Top, and it was very revolutionary, like like you can't play it in radio, right? So I did that. I kept that, made it a brand. You know what I'm saying? Then I dropped in 2011. I think I kept dropping the mixtapes, but then in 2011 I dropped the Greatest Unknown. 2012 the MC. By the time I got to the MC series, I knew what and where and how I was going to project my message clearer, because at that time I was in my 30s and I was like, I need to stick to this message. This is the message that people need to hear. So that's what I kept doing. MC2 in 2013, MC3 in 2016. Then I started doing records for the freedom fighting of certain prisoners, political prisoners and stuff like that. That's what the freedom fighter was for. You know what I'm saying? For a particular freedom fighter and teacher, Dr. M. York. And we still fight for his freedom to this day. So I did a whole thing for him. Then the legacy, 2018. 2019 was 1979. I was talking about pretty much my life in that to that point. It's my 9th album. Once 2020 came, I released the during COVID, of course. I released the Hip Hop to New Scroll of Hits. It's 37 songs of the best songs that I did on those 9 albums.
That's dope.
Yeah. So I did that so people could be like, yo, they can listen to their favorite songs without going to the album. Even they can go to the album too, but they can listen to that on one joint, 2 CDs long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then after that, I said, well, I got a new wave of CDs to come. So I did I Am Hip Hop during COVID. I released it in 2021. The mixtape originals was 2022, but also the KING, the first one, 2022. That's what came up with the purpose of hip hop and challenge and all these other songs. Then 2020, I did African Man Born's music, which is me making beats. I was making beats and put them all on one CD. I wasn't gonna rap over them. I just made them, and I put that on an album on August 11th of 2022. Fast forward to 2023. I released the Vintage. 10 songs I produced. Something that I just wanted to give something for just like pretty much the street music, a little bit different. You know what I mean? It was still conscious, but it was like more like in your face lyricism. You know what I mean? Then I released 2024 G.O.D. Greatness Over Dominance. That had set the record straight on it. G.O.D. Greatness Over Dominance. I had a couple of joints on there. Recession, which I still need to perform for y'all. That joint, it's pretty much about now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that record, I produced that whole album as well.
Okay.
And then 2025, of course, the GIO, God is Omnipresent, that has songs dedicated to my mother, because my mother passed away in 2024. My brother passed away in 2023, so I talked about the situation mainly, but not the whole album, but certain songs I did. Then, of course, 2026, I released a mixtape called This Is Hip Hop Volume 2, Too Much Boom Bap. I was mad because people didn't like the Nas and Premier joint. Some people, the people that I was speaking, I heard them, and I was just speaking to that because I was like, you got to understand the hip hop culture was on that album, and I think a lot of people don't know what they're listening to.
Right.
So they judge something based on their perceptions of what the music should think, what they think the music should be now. Then 2026. You hear the Resurrectors, me and Sandro, and then the day after, which was my birthday yesterday, I released that KING Part 2.
Okay.
So yeah. So that's my musical journey of when I release things. And
that's really dope.
Yeah. So
now, how long have you been like making your own beats and being like a producer?
I've been making my own beats since I was like 16, but I stopped making beats to have other people make them for me. Like Genius is pretty much my main producer. He's my main producer, but now with me teaming up with Red Bricks, Sandro produces for me, Buzz Beats produces for me. You know what I'm saying? So that's about 3 producers, and we're all part of the same circle. So yeah, so when I make beats, it's usually because I have inspired to make them, and then at some point I'm gonna go over these beats with my lyrics. But if I wanted to do a whole album, I usually pick 1 or 2 producers that, and that's between Genius, Buzz, and I work with other producers too. I have so many records now that I'm in a space where I can do it. As opposed to like I felt like I didn't have the space to do it, even though I had like probably 10 albums at that time. But now I'm in a space with just working with people, and other producers and getting that other sound, and
for sure.
Yeah.
Another question I had was, when you travel as an artist, let's say you go to like play a state and the turnout wasn't great, does doing the traveling still feel worth it as the artist if you go and you perform for 15-20 minutes or whatever?
I think it's worth it depending on your situation. So if you're going and you're trying to make a name for yourself, you're going to have to deal with the small crowds and people that don't know you until you get to a point where people know you. So traveling is always very important to get your name out there. And I've traveled from here all the way to California, but I performed probably mostly on the East Coast, all the way down to Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And I've traveled outside the country. That's how I actually got some of my first records, was out the country, to Panama, where my mother's from. And then, but I have, traveling is a big thing. It's important, because you want people to hear you across the world, not just not just in one region. I've done a lot of shows in this region, but it's also good to go to New York, also good to go to New Jersey, also good to go to Philly, because that's where, honestly, that's where people are going to actually put you in the position that you want to be in. Then you come back to your home and they see that, and the thing is, you shouldn't even have to come back to like it should be popping from those areas, and they'll be like, oh, he's doing his thing, he out there, and he out there in LA, he out there in Europe, you know what I'm saying, he out there, and like I've seen a recent post from an artist named Exit Fame, right, and he's traveling in Europe. I think he's in Germany, with Busta Rhymes in them. That's what I'm talking about. Go to, travel to a point where now you're getting these things in Germany, you're getting them in Africa, you're getting them in Japan. That's where you get your money. That's where you get your fame. That's where you start to really change your life. And I celebrate that, and I respect the fact that he is doing that in other places and going traveling, and he has his passport and doing that because that's what's going to get him to extend his career. You know what I'm saying? So much respect to Exit Fame for that. You know what I'm saying? And anybody, you know, people like Brandon Grimes, he's doing his thing with the Estradaneer. You know what I'm saying? And and these are guys that I watch. You know what I'm saying? I might not be able to go to everything, but I watch them, and then and you pay attention to them because it's not about competition for me. It's about celebration. Competition is for somebody I don't like. And if you don't like me and I don't like you, let's battle. You know what I'm saying? And if we don't battle, then we just leave it alone. But if we do battle, the best man wins, best woman wins. It is what it is, and we keep it on wax. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, these are people that I respect in the game. And this is a few. There's so many more. Like me and Sandro, we knew each other for like over 15 years. And we was talking about doing this project years ago. We was talking about doing music. It became this project. You know what I'm saying? So that's what, so that's where it's like, I respect everybody's motion and moves. And I celebrate it because if you don't, who else is going to do it? You know what I mean? So, but traveling is very important. That's what gets you out there. That's why we hear about a Busta Rhymes. That's why we hear about a Wu-Tang. That's why we hear about Jay-Z. They had to spend their money, go in there and hit the road. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
I think it's just so many artists are like impatient with the whole process. It's just like, hey, like I need to be seen by this many people now.
Yeah.
And then
it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way because you got to take extra steps. A lot of times, that type of attention that you want takes extra steps. Like you got to actually go and put in the work and travel and put your money up and build a business. I think a lot of people need to learn business, period. Not just music business, but business.
I agree.
Yeah, because
I think as an artist, you have to realize that you're signing up for being your own brand.
Yeah.
Like
you are a brand. That's your thing.
Yes, like you could be like I could be Zach, but like my own brand name is Big Zach. And, Like
and you have to move with that brand. So, So because remember, just like anything that we see, right? People like McDonald's because they see it. People like Burger King because they see it. Now me, I saw it when I was a kid, and you want McDonald's, right? They moved. They went on the road and put it and got it established across the world. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, all of them did the same thing. Well, music is the same way. You know, and like you said, the Big Zach, that's your brand. So you have to do things that will enhance the success of the brand. Very simple, right? But like you said, a lot of artists, they think they got to do is rap or sing. Rap or sing. People should hear me, and I should be bigger. No, it's not how it goes. Right? You don't listen to these stories that our favorite artists, they have stories that some of them are probably scared of. You know, like
I'm sure.
Like Ray Charles was blind. Right. If you watch the movie, there was a point where the guy he told the booking guys like, yo, I need my money in ones because I'm blind. I gotta count it. So if he did a show for like $50 or $100, that was a lot of money back then. He has to be able to count that it's $50. Well, the guy gave him a 50 in the movie. Gave him a 50. It was just one, so he thought it was $1. He jumped off that wheelchair, or he jumped off of something, and he started pounding him, and he couldn't see him, but he jumped off him, and boom, 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 and he's like. These are the stories that you hear, You know what I mean? Like you always hear the horror stories. Like I've heard stories from Wu-Tang. I've heard stories from Nas. I've heard stories about how people's trying to stiff them for money, and they had to figure out a way to keep their career going, even though people are stiffing them for their money. You know what I mean? So it's very important to know the business and how to protect yourself. And they've had plenty of movies on it, plenty of documentaries. So a lot of times when artists are impatient, they're not paying attention to what the artists before them. You know what I mean?
I really agree with that because I feel like a lot of artists like a lot of artists don't. They jump in, especially in like this area. They jump into the game and they don't know like the people who came before them. They don't know the OGs, like the Ed OGs and the Big Shugs.
And they don't talk to them, so they don't really know what's going on.
They don't talk to them, and they don't make those connections with them. And those are really great artists that have done everything that you want to do.
Yeah, and you got to kind of learn from them in order for you to be the next success story.
Right.
You know, and that's, you know, especially if you're dealing with young people, it's harder because they're very impatient, and also they, like when you say like certain things about older artists, they get mad. So they'll be like, "Oh, that guy's washed up," but that doesn't make sense.
Right.
So if he's washed up, how do you know he's washed up?
Right.
you knew he existed. So, you know, he's not washed up. That doesn't. Right. That's just. It's like they're saying that so they can make themselves more relevant, but it actually makes you unlikable.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's another thing. You don't want to be a brand that's not liked.
Right. 100%.
Like they got there's unlikable things about our favorite artists at times, right?
Yep.
But you don't want to be unlikable to starting off.
You don't want your brand to be unlikable.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing.
For sure. I hear that.
Yeah.
Because that happens way too often. It's just like they're like, oh well, I'm better than them. It's just like you're not. You haven't even established half the things that they've established.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta be careful. You know?
Yeah. So, I guess we're gonna switch over to the sports segment here and dive into some sports.
Sports, okay.
Yeah, some sports, maybe a little bit of wrestling. And you watch wrestling?
I haven't watched wrestling in years.
Yeah. What's like the time period that you like watch wrestling?
I'm like the Attitude Era.
Okay.
Like I watched it with Hogan and Randy Savage back when I was a kid. Like that was my earliest moments of wrestling was WrestleMania 3. We used to watch that, but I was like SummerSlam, Survivor Series when that started to come about in the 80s.
Right.
Yeah, I was when Ultimate Warrior was out. That was the beginning of it, and then I watched it after, like a little bit after Stone Cold and Undertaker, because those are my favorite wrestlers. Was like Undertaker, Stone Cold, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, like them. Who else is Cactus Jack?
Right.
Those are my like Junkyard Dog from the old school.
Right.
Yeah, like that was my era. Like especially the Attitude Era when they came out. They came to Boston and did WrestleMania.
Yep.
Like I was in high school. I was a senior in high school at that time. And then they that's my era. My fault. That was my era of wrestling. I watched it a little bit after. I like some of the wrestlers like Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes,
right?
Because he's actually pretty much came like the tail end of like Stone Cold and them.
Right.
He was young. Goldust, because Goldust was in the Attitude Era.
Right.
Dustin Rhodes or whatever his name. And then Jake the Snake. And all of them. That was my.
For sure. So
I used to watch all that.
Where you was so like during the Monday Night Wars, were you more of a WCW or a Raw guy?
I was a Raw guy.
Yeah.
I watched WCW because I'm a big fan of Ric Flair. That dude, when he slap you like that, that right there, woo!
Right.
That's I was a big fan of Ric Flair, Steiner Brothers, Sting, Goldberg. I liked Goldberg when he first came out.
Right.
Kevin Nash and Peter, but I seen them in WWE before they changed the name to WWE. It was Diesel and Razor Ramon. I watched WCW, but if you was just compare the two for me, I was the WWE guy, and I watched a little bit of ECW as well, especially when Taz was over there.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah.
When they was over there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Taz was such a slept-on wrestler. He was one of my favorites.
Yeah. They tried to get him big in WWE and just didn't really pan out the way but he was a beast in ECW.
He was.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, he's definitely a beast in that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I liked Taz a lot.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else. We had Razor Ramon.
Yeah, Razor. Yeah, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. Wow, 1, 2, 3 Kid. They changed the name to X-Pac, which I thought was better. And that was better for him. 1, 2, 3 Kid. I just I guess that was like the combination that he threw on you back then.
Right.
But the X-Pac was definitely better.
Right.
Who else? I mean,
like, we really did get to see, like, it happened to a degree, but we really didn't get to see what NWO versus DX would have been like.
No, because because
they were both on, like, the separate brands. I like to say, like, WCW was more for, like, the cinematics.
Yeah.
And, like, the Raw was more, like, for the wrestling aspect.
Yeah, the wrestling aspect was definitely better in Raw.
The WCW had, like, the characters.
Yeah.
And, like, some of the characters are goofy, but, like, that's what wrestling's missing right now. It's character builds.
Well, that's where I think some of the writers went to WWE and created the characters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Because like when Stone Cold got to WWE, it enhanced the brand.
Right.
When Undertaker was still there, he's been there since like '89 or something like that. But he was in WCW. It was like Mean Mark something. I forgot his name, and he became Undertaker and took over. Right, like he was undefeated for WrestleMania, like his whole career, and and like for him, it was like he was what they call him, the dead man, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then, when they brought Kane and enhanced that brand, you know what I'm saying?
It did.
Like that whole era, like, Undertaker, Kane, DX, I felt like when they brought so remember when they merged back in like us early 2000s, they merged. They should have had that beef, Triple H and them against like NWO. That would have been crazy. They never really did that because there was like they ended up doing WCW versus the ECW. Then they was taking the belts and they changed the name of the belts. Right, so you had like the World Championship and then you had the
then
WWE.
It became like the Undisputed Championship. Something like that.
Yeah, it was
then,
crazy.
They had that match, and Chris Jericho beat Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night.
Yeah, he beat him in the same night.
Yeah.
And then, didn't he win both?
Yeah, he won both of them that night.
He was the first one, right?
Yeah, he was the first undisputed champion.
Yeah. I think Undertaker took it one time. He beat, I think he beat somebody. I think he beat Triple H.
I think they stopped the Undisputed Championship in 2002.
Oh, they stopped it pretty quick.
Yeah, like they had it for a little bit, but then they were just like, okay, it's now just the WWE Championship.
Yeah. And so they made that belt the WWE? So
they just made that belt the WWE Championship, and then they separated the belts and then made the World Heavyweight Championship for Raw.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was confused about that.
Yeah,
I was confused about that because I know that they had switched the belt names and then they made new belts, like the U.S. champion, the European champion.
Right.
And then, because I remember they just had WWE, or at the time WWF, and then they had the Intercontinental Championship.
Right.
And then you had the tag team championships. You didn't really have another belt after that. It was those three, and it was competitive because you only had 3 belts.
Right.
And most of the time, I remember when I was coming up, Demolition had the championship belts for a minute.
Right.
And then I don't know who they lost to, but they had the belts for a minute. They was coming there, they was beating everybody up.
Right.
First thing they do was, it was coming up there with the smash, boom, Axis smash. That was my group. I used to love them.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and then the Road Warriors and all them.
They got inducted this year.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, that was my group, man.
Yeah, they got inducted to the Hall of Fame this year.
There's nothing to a little boy, man, when you watch Demolition come in there and just smash people in the beginning. The belt didn't even ring. They come in there and they had the mask on. They even take the mask off. They go in there, the music's playing, and they going in there. pow, 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 pow.
Right.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, nothing like Demolition, man. Demolition was one of the greatest WWE legendary groups, and I came up watching them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because that was before the Rockers, when Shawn Michaels came from, and Marty Jannetty. There was another group too that Rick Martel was a part of. I forgot the name of that group before he went solo and started spraying people with that perfume. But it was he was part of a group. It was,
I think right now in wrestling, it's like we don't have like too much tag teams.
They don't have a lot of tag teams?
No, the tag teams really falling off like nowadays. But it's just like I feel like we were also so spoiled, like seeing so many great tag teams.
Man,
because there's so many great tag teams out there that it's just like makes everything now look like. Is this a good tag team?
The tag team,
like
crazy,
it's kind of like you have to look back at that tag team now.
Yeah, the tag
nowadays team. Because it's like you got the Dudley Boys, you got the Hardy Boys, you got Christian and Edge, you got
what's his name?
Yeah, the Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom. Yeah, what was the dudes that what's his name was part of? Kofi Kingston was part of.
The New Day.
New Day.
Yeah, and
they were the kind of more new age, but like now. You got like the Usos, and
the Usos,
and then and did they split up? Because I know one of them's riding solo.
They're involved in like their story with like the bloodline and everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we don't see a lot of tag, because back then you had tag teams, man.
Right.
Like what's it? The Bolsheviks. That's the one they just come sing the Russian music. When everybody was booing them. You know what I'm saying? And then there was the Bolsheviks. There was a whole bunch of them.
The Rock'em Sock'em Connection.
Rock'em Sock'em Connection. That was funny. Yeah. And I remember Kane and Undertaker tag team.
Yeah, the Brothers of Destruction.
Yep, and then they won the belt actually.
Yeah.
They won the belt. And then who else was up there? There was so many tag teams back then.
Right, there's so many great tag teams. It's just like I feel like we were so spoiled as far as tag team division.
We was. If you grew
now
up,
anything you see is not like a great tag team.
But if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you was definitely spoiled with the tag teams.
Right.
Like you even like you said, Steiner Brothers, you know, and them and like. Tag teams, the Hart Foundation, even Hogan and Randy Savage got together and formed the Mega Powers, you know what I mean? Versus the Mega Bucks with Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant, right? Like these, like it's yeah, we were spoiled with them tag teams, but people wanted to see them.
Yeah,
like you know, and even when like you had the special tag team matches, where like two people hated the one guy, and then those two hated these two, so they'll come together. You know, sometimes you see Brutus Beefcake with Hogan or something like that, and they beating up somebody over there. You know what I mean? So it's like that. But the tag team was honestly like. I was more excited about the tag team matches, especially with the Dudley Boys and, the famous line, D-Lo, get the tables. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that. There's nothing that can replace that type of feeling. Not to say I don't know how the tag teams are now, because I said, I haven't watched wrestling in years, but like I know back then the tag teams were serious. Like you had, and there's so many names that we didn't even name. There's so many of them, I just don't remember all of them off the top. But there's so many.
As they say, we were spoiled because we just named a bunch of the greats.
Because if you think about it, you've seen like a couple of solo matches, but then you had like at least 5 or 6 tag team matches, especially on Monday Night Raw, or like, and then they started bringing SmackDown, like later on, and so many different tag teams, so many different ones. Facts. And they had big groups. The Nation of Domination, it was like a collective group.
They had the big groups.
Evolution. So these are like groups. So like those groups really brought out the events. The solo stuff is cool. Especially if they're real good. Like like Rock, he can hold his own. Stone Cold can hold his own. Undertaker can hold his own. John Cena can hold his own. Right, but then you got like the groups. Like, there was nothing like seeing, like, what was it, the British Bulldogs.
Right.
One of my favorite groups was the British Bulldogs. The Heart Foundation is one of my favorite groups, right? And then they had other groups. What was the dude, the managers? Remember the managers, like Slick and and Sensational Sherry, and there was another manager, Elizabeth.
Yeah, she was with the Hogan and Randy.
Yeah. So,
I think she should be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Because like she was one of the very first like managers and like females in like the company itself.
She built that company. I mean,
right.
You know, that's before Vince McMahon.
And she was with the two biggest superstars in that company.
Yeah. Because that was.
I definitely believe she should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, she should be. You know, if Randy Savage is in there,
right,
she should be in there. You know, just like Bobby Heenan,
right.
You know, Bobby Heenan should be in. Is he in there?
I think he is. I'm not entirely sure because I think he might be on the AEW brand and they have like contract type things.
Well, I mean, he was on WWE. So.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure on that one.
yeah. Bobby Heenan was he's one of the biggest managers in there. So,
right.
Yeah.
For sure. Paul Bearer. We got to talk about Paul Bearer. Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman. He's still there.
Yeah. Paul Heyman's still doing it.
He's still doing it with
The Vision right now and Logan Paul.
Yeah, wasn't he? He's still with Lesnar, right?
No, Lesnar. So like Lesnar's come back.
Yeah.
But he's supposed to retire at SummerSlam this year, so
he's gonna lose to the guy, man.
Yeah,
they're gonna lose. What's his name?
Yeah, they're gonna lose to Gunther.
What's his name?
Gunther.
Huh?
Gunther is his name.
The big.
Oh no, his name is Obafemi.
Obafemi.
Yeah.
Did he beat him?
Obafemi beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and then basically like they didn't have a creative direction, and they brought Brock Lesnar back after he like said he was going to retire, and pretty much like they're going to have like a rematch at their next pay-per-view in Italy, but they're aiming towards Brock Lesnar retiring in Minnesota, where he's from.
Oh, he's from Minnesota.
At SummerSlam.
Oh, that's a good event.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Cena just retired, last year?
Yeah. Cena retired in December.
Yeah.
And they're trying to set it up so it's like this same guy who retired Cena's going to be the guy who's going to retire Brock.
Who retired Cena?
His name's Gunther.
And so he's firing.
He's like they call him the career killer now because it's like he just retires all these wrestlers.
That's hilarious. I mean, it's a good,
right? It's kind of like the legend killer gimmick, but it's just like
you got to do that because what's the name was known as that,
right?
Randy Orton,
right?
Yeah, he was known as the legend killer. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
I think the Legend Killer version of Randy Orton is. I liked the Legend Killer version of Randy Orton much better than the Viper version of Randy Orton because the version when he switched to being the Viper and not the Legend Killer anymore, it was just like, did he really just beat all of the legends to have to switch the character? Really?
I mean, he didn't. he beat some. So from what I remember, I could be wrong. He beat a lot of legends, but there was a couple he didn't.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't think he beat Undertaker.
He beat Undertaker, but he didn't beat Undertaker at Mania.
Yeah. No, he's not gonna beat him at Mania.
Yeah.
He wasn't gonna beat him at Mania. Like Undertaker will lose every pay-per-view until Mania come.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he doesn't really lose every when he does Survivor Series, he usually wins that.
Right.
And usually,
100%.
He'll lose the Royal Rumble because everybody's fighting at the same time. But like, he doesn't usually lose. He doesn't lose a lot of pay-per-views, Undertaker.
No.
So,
I think the Undertaker's the GOAT.
Oh yeah.
As far as just like overall career, like good promo, good wrestling.
He has the best.
Like his athleticism for his size is amazing.
I didn't know he was a martial artist.
Yeah.
Like, but when you're a kid, you don't realize that. You thought You thought these guys had superpowers back then.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's like, but he has amazing athleticism for a long time. He's done it over 20 years, and him. To me, Undertaker's definitely my GOAT. But if I would give The Rock as the GOAT, You know, and I just loved his branding.
Right.
Stone Cold was another GOAT.
The Rock, Stone Cold had the best 3-year run out of anybody. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that gets talked about enough. You know, everybody's like Stone Cold, but it's just like he only had 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
And it's kind of crazy when you talk about The Rock and Stone Cold in the instance of the greatest of all time. They deserve the greatest of all time, but they had such a short amount of time in the company versus somebody who's been in the company 15, 20 years.
Undertaker been in 20 years.
Right.
You know, and straight wrestling. Like, you know, where The Rock was probably, I want to say Rock gave a good 10 before he really started.
Yeah, The Rock gave like...
He had like a 10, and it was off and on 10.
Yeah, it was like 8 to 12.
Yeah, and it was
somewhere in that.
But it was definitely like an off and on because then he started doing movies.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and you know he was doing big kind of, you know, he did Scorpion King, he did, you know, and at that time he was doing these movies. It took away from the wrestling part, so then Stone Cold kind of took those 3 years within that series. Mm-hmm. But I felt like you know, if Rock had a good 10 straight,
right?
Yes. Then he would be considered probably the GOAT based on his branding. But Undertaker definitely...
I think The Rock definitely changed the game when it came to branding for wrestling as a whole.
Yeah.
Because without The Rock, none of these wrestlers would have any kind of movie deal, would be in any kind of show.
No, I mean, Stone Cold benefited off of that.
I think Hulk Hogan was a big part of that too. I think Hogan and The Rock are the two biggest.
Hogan kicked it off back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Remember he did No Holds Barred against Zeus?
Yep.
And then he did a couple of movies, so he was with Mr. T a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hogan definitely was the start off, and then Rock kind of took it to this level.
Took it to the next level during the 90s part.
Because he got his own peers.
Right.
Stuff like that was dope, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. That's how you do it, you know.
And what do you think the Patriots are gonna do this year?
Well, they got the second. I heard they got the second to third toughest schedule.
Yeah.
It's gonna it's gonna determine. You got to look at them. Like look at who they play, right, and they did well this year.
They did.
And I give them credit for that. I think a lot of people don't because of the schedule, but the strength of schedule doesn't mean anything because Buffalo played that same schedule, and everybody praises Buffalo. Mm-hmm. So I think that the Patriots, it depends on how they play those teams that are above 500 and more. Right. If they can,
and a majority of those teams are the first 4 games of the season.
Yeah, so
like if they don't start off with a hot start, then they can be cooked.
Yeah.
They can win out, but they can still be cooked because the first 4 teams are the ones they're projected to be the contenders, top teams this year.
Yeah, and think about it too. The Patriots, they left so they ended the season runner-up for the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So everybody's going to gun for them. They're the AFC Conference Championship.
Right.
They're the AFC East champion. So Buffalo's definitely gunning for them. I think that the Patriots will do well if they win 3 out of 4 of those first games, or they can't lose more than 2. In those first 4, because I think Mike Vrabel's a very good coach. I think Josh McDaniels is a good coach. They need a defensive coordinator that can actually put together a 3-and-out situation where they can get the ball, because they lost the Super Bowl because they had too many 3-and-outs. It wasn't because Seattle did something special. They kept 3-and-out, 3-and-out. 3-and-out. You have 3-and-outs, your defense gets tired. Because Christian Gonzalez played very well in the Super Bowl.
He did.
And other players did too, but they couldn't hold up. If you're getting the ball back, you know, Sam Darnold, you know, he's a good enough quarterback to put points on the board. And that's what he did. They did nothing special. They did basic football.
It really was. I had faith in the entire game up until the point where Drake May threw the interception.
We threw the interception, it was wrap.
He threw that interception in the fourth quarter. I'm like, okay. And I was hoping for that defensive turnover. We never got that defensive
That's another
turnover.
thing.
Because of that, I was just like, that's the reason we lost.
All playoffs games, they would have the defensive turnover.
Right.
Seattle didn't do it. They knew it. They was watching. They was like, we can't turn the ball. And it was they didn't want to be reminiscent of Brady era.
Right.
Brady era, Patriots had multiple big plays on defense and offense. Right. And that's hard to beat. Anytime. That's why people don't understand. It wasn't just Tom Brady that won those games. It was that defense. It was that coaching and making sure we got to get big plays. And we're not just going to win.
100%.
We're going to get like about 5 of them where you're not going to be able to come back.
Right. 100%.
And then like even with the Atlanta game, Belichick had that. That's why when people say, did Brady do it? No, Belichick, they both did it. Belichick was the one that put these teams together around Brady so he could be successful. Because like if you think about Belichick, I think later in the years he didn't have that comfort zone, so then he was losing games. You know what I mean? But imagine if he got Drake May right after, right after a thing, and he still had Josh McDaniels. He would have. They would have still been winning. And I think that Mike Vrabel's gonna, as long as he's there, he's gonna put them in a position to either be in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl. I think that. I'm not going to make any predictions that they won't go, but I think if they add some players, especially on offense, because they struggled offensively.
Do you think the A.J. Brown hype is all smoke? Or do you think maybe when June hits, we're going to get him?
I think we might get him in June or July.
Yeah.
I don't know about Stephon Diggs. He might come back. He might not. I'm not holding my breath on that because they got rid of him for a reason. Not to say that if he wants to come back, that'll be a plus. I think they do need an A.J. Brown.
I think the smartest thing is when Brown gets here, restructure Brown and then sign Diggs on a 1 year.
Yeah. And see what he can do.
Yeah, and then if Diggs is the same player, you can give him the rest of the contract that you guys had him on originally. Yeah.
I mean, I think he's an asset. I think that he helps, especially if you get an A.J. Brown. Now you have Kayshon Boutte.
Right.
A.J. Brown and Diggs, and then they got a couple of guys. I just think they need that shutdown, that receiver that can shut things down.
Right.
Like
100%.
Yeah, because that changes things. You got a receiver like A.J. Brown that can catch that ball.
I think Kayshon Boutte would probably be involved in the A.J. Brown trade.
Probably. Yeah. So because Kayshon Boutte's a good player.
He is.
But I think that I would give him up for A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And but I think the Patriots, those first 4 games are going to determine what their season's going to be like. I think if they win the first 4, then I'm like, okay, they're going to be all right. They might lose like 1 or 2 games or something like that. I don't think they'll go 14-3. I think they could probably go 13 or 12 and 13. I don't think that. I do think they'll win the East, though.
Yeah.
I think they'll win the East again.
100%.
And I think that they'll be a threat in the playoffs.
For sure.
And so, yeah, I have faith in Drake May. Drake May is, he's a real deal. I mean, you talking about second-year player, got you to the Super Bowl.
Right.
He did the same thing that Brady did. The only difference is Brady won the Super Bowl, but there was factors.
Right.
That defense was probably top-notch, and it was being ignored.
Right. You had the greatest kicker of all time.
Greatest kicker of all time. You had Lawyer Malloy. You had Ty Law. You had Roman Pfeiffer. You had, you know what I'm saying? People
don't realize how many defensive Hall of Famers we're talking about.
Willie McGinnis.
Those Patriots defense.
Yeah.
So many Hall of Famers.
So many Hall of Famers, and they helped Brady.
Yeah,
become successful, and but Drake May, he had Christian Gonzalez, and he had some players.
Yeah,
I just didn't think they were necessarily ready, but I believed in them.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot of football to be played. So but I think if they win those first 4 games, they'll be all right.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the Celtics and how their season abruptly ended?
They gave that series up.
Yeah.
They Philly should not have won against the Celtics. I'm just being honest. Anybody from Philly that's getting mad at me, listen, you shouldn't have won that. All right? There's no way. Celtics should have been playing the Knicks.
Right.
Or I don't think they would have played the Knicks. They wouldn't have playing Cleveland. And if they won, I think that the Celtics should at least play Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And it'll be back and forth, whatever the case may be. But they didn't play up to the standard that they should have.
Right.
And I don't know what was going on with Jason Tatum. He didn't play Game 7 or something like that. Mm-hmm. To me, yeah, they gave that up. Philly's not a better team than the Celtics. They're not a better team, and I don't think Cleveland was. I think that it should have been New York versus Boston.
Right.
And I think New York is a better team. Mm-hmm. I don't like New York as a team, so I'm Bostonian for real.
100%.
But I do see what New York is doing, and New York is a real deal team in the East Coast,
right.
and they deserve respect. I don't hope they win.
I think the Spurs are gonna win.
Are they up on the series?
They are.
What is it?
I think the series is 2-1.
Really, Spurs? Yeah. Wemby.
Yeah, Wemby's an alien.
Yeah. But I do think the Knicks are gonna. Are the Knicks in the finals? Did they make it?
They're in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals right now. So
the Eastern. So yeah, I know that they're pretty much. I think they're gonna win the series. But the finals is a different animal. I can't speak on the finals because I don't know. OKC. They from what I saw, they're okay.
Yeah.
I would like to see the Spurs go, but I don't want to see the Knicks go, but I know they're gonna go. I know they're gonna go. They're beating everybody up. They like once the Celtics got booted, I was like, yeah.
I think it's a cool story for Cleveland to go without LeBron.
That would be good.
I think that'd be a cool story, but I don't have faith in James Harden.
No.
I
don't know why they got him, but
Yeah, so it's just like I have faith in James Harden. I like Donovan Mitchell.
Mitchell's a beast.
Yeah,
but I don't think they should have got James Harden.
Yeah, so it's just like I would love to see Cleveland go just for the sense that you could get out of LeBron's shadow, and Cleveland's kind of the Cavaliers are the only thing that Cleveland's really won.
Really?
As far as like sports titles.
That's
long time.
That's true because I remember the Indians lost to get to the World Series.
Yeah.
And I think they lost to Boston. If I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah, because I was there. I was at the game. Game 7.
Okay.
And people don't understand. When you're in Fenway, Game 7 in Boston, that's like I left early because I knew the Red Sox was gonna win. It was beating them up in Game 7.
Right.
So I went to this thing called U-Burger. This place. It used to be over there. Now it's a barbecue fried chicken now. And the U-Burger and the cops was getting on lunch break, and they SWAT cops, like SWAT team. Like these cops don't wear blue, they wear black. You know what I mean? Boots, and they just like, and they was talking to me, and they're like, hey, just give him game. I was like, yeah, give him game. It's like, yeah, man, Red Sox, I think they're gonna win the championship this year. I was like, yeah, this guy's just ready to, because Boston, our city's pretty rowdy, man. When we win, we're rowdy, and that's what.
Oh, believe me, when I went to the Celtics parade, I'm still in shock. I saw this one kid. He jumped from the fountain that's in the Boston Common. He jumped from the top of that into like the bottom like pool area, and I'm like, bro, how did you like belly flop and not
injure yourself?
Like not severely hurt yourself.
They could be drunk and don't feel nothing. I don't get it.
All right. But even then, like, how are you not severely hurt?
Yeah.
Like.
I don't know, because I never did stuff like that. I just watched the game, celebrate.
Get real rowdy out there.
Yeah.
It's just like St. Patrick's Day parade this year too. I'm like, bro, all of these kids are drunk. It's not even new.
I was there. St. Patrick's Day parade. I was there. Because I work for the city, so I was helping with the barriers, and these kids. drunk. It wasn't 21. It wasn't 21. But
right.
They said they made like 17 arrests.
Yeah,
so,
I believe it.
Yeah, so
and they had a whole Borg station over at Broadway.
But you remember what happened in 2024?
Yeah.
No, 2025. 2025, that's when the roof collapsed on one of those streets. And then there was like the cops was fighting the kids, and they had to pour out like pounds of liquor.
Right.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I remember when the riots happened in Boston a couple years ago. It was around like the COVID time.
Yeah.
And I remember just like hopping from like person's life to person's life and seeing like all the fires in like the public gardens and people trying to throw bricks through the jewelry store windows.
They broke into a couple of places over there in downtown.
Right.
Couple of them, right?
Like downtown like looked wrecked for a couple weeks.
Oh yeah. It was
crazy. Couple months.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
But I'm like ended on the note where I ask all my guests, what do you have as far as like dreams and aspirations for yourself moving forward, and like as far as like goals?
Goals is just to be in a better position in life of just, being comfortable. Family comfortable.
Right.
Not necessarily rich, just comfortable. Like, rich is a state of mind anyway, but like, of course, money is rich as well. But you just want to be comfortable and be around and help other people get to a point where they can be successful in things. That's my goal as far as just me individually as a person. Just being in a position where I don't have to worry about certain things in life, finances, and all that other stuff. Just being able to put myself in a position to access resources that I would need to just sustain myself. Own a house, do business, whatever. But yeah, my goal is to help with that.
Sure.
That's pretty much my thing. The music, I do the music. I don't have I don't have that thing where it's like I want to have D.R.A.M.B signed and have a bunch of albums. I have a bunch of albums on my own.
Right.
So
100%.
So the music is easy. That's part of my life. I don't have to make a push to make that something bigger. I'll let the fans do that. You know what I'm saying? And if the fans feel like I need to have that type of success, then that's what will happen. Right? But just to be in a better position in life where I have own business, own house, couple house, whatever, and be good.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate having you on the episode, my guy.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Let's catch you on the next episode.